Ladies and gents, PepperBelly back again with some more squad. Today marks the release of version 2, the second build for the closed alpha, and with it comes some pretty extensive changes. The developers have been extremely busy because this build is just a vast improvement to all the things that have changed in the patch notes. Reading them over 24 hours ago, I was pretty ecstatic and super excited to give this build a go, and after playing it, it feels almost like an entirely different game, strictly based on all the changes made. This I really like. So I'm going to be talking about some of the things that have changed that are most notable to me, and then I will have a link in the description of this video taking you to the patch notes page so you can go and take a look at it yourself and read through everything, because it is extensive, and if I were to make a video covering every single minor change, it would probably take an hour or more. So I'm going to talk about just a few points that I want to discuss. Immediately, what you may notice is that these sights have been reworked. So now you got the aim points and the ACOGs, and you even have a sight for the SVD that's magnified as well. It no longer looks kind of weird. Like, it doesn't look like you're looking down a tube like you're looking down a toilet paper roll anymore. It actually looks like a proper optic. That has been fixed. Perception is a lot better as a result. Things just look a hell of a lot nicer, and it's just so much more engaging when you're actually engaging targets. It's just, it feels all the better as a result. Now, weapon handling has actually been completely reworked. Same with recoils, and same with some of the sounds as well. The AKs actually, not only have there been new implementations of AKs like AK-74Us, AK-74s, AKMs, a nice diverse selection of the AK family. And they all got reworked sound effects. Now, I wasn't too ecstatic on it. I mean, after hearing it in game, I don't really know if I really like them that much because they sound so drastically different. I'm not sure if they're actually accurate as a representation of what it actually sounds like to fire an AK. But for the most part, everything is still amazing. All the sounds have been improved upon, like hearing weapons, like the explosives, rockets traveling through the air when they're whizzing past you. A lot of the sounds have changed to sound just so much better. And the game already sounded amazing as it is. So improving on sound, when they were saying yeah, we're improving sound, it's like, what can you possibly do to improve sound? Everything is already amazing, so I don't really know. But alas, they managed to achieve it, and things are definitely improving. Obviously, there's still going to be some work to be done in the future, but I mean, that's just the nature of development. Things are going to change as we move forward. So the other thing you probably notice right now is looking at my weapon. It's camouflaged. It's got some desert camo on it. What is this? Well, essentially, all weapons are randomized now, in terms of either having them all black or desert cam. Same with the AKMs, they'll either have some tape on it or they'll look a little bit different, or you have different versions. They fundamentally function the same way, but they just have different diversity. It's just to kind of make looking at soldiers in the field look a little different, a little diversified. And that's kind of nice, because not everyone's going to look exactly the same. Everyone will kind of have their own thing going on within the confines of a realistic environment. So it's still going to have an authentic portrayal of what it's actually like to be in the field, which is nice. Now, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the compass has been changed around to be a little bit larger, more clear, and also slightly more transparent. This is actually kind of a thing I was worried about initially reading it, like it's being enlarged, because I kind of like the minimalistic HUD elements to this game to kind of immerse you more into the environment, into the game, and obviously feel more authentic. But it is a lot nicer and better. The size, the width of it actually allows for more precise bearings, because now you can actually really figure out exactly where the number should actually be. Before it was a little difficult to be like, okay, 285, 300, say you want to talk about 290, identifying where that exactly was is a little difficult. Now it's actually a lot easier to really pinpoint very accurate bearing callouts, which is just a lot nicer. Plus it's not intrusive whatsoever. It looks really nice, actually. I prefer it the way it looks now. It's a lot better, in my humble opinion. And if you look at the bottom right of the screen, you see a little ammo widget. Basically what this is, it tells you how many magazines you currently have. So as you can see right now, I have 6 magazines. The green one's what I currently have loaded into my weapon. And if you empty them, it'll gradually start scaling back until there's only 2 left. And when you have 2 left, one will be yellow, which would be the last one, and then the second last one would be green, indicating that you're on your second last magazine. That last magazine is going to be your last resort. You should probably get to a resupply crate and get some more ammunition. But if you don't, and you end up going to your last magazine, it'll be red colored, indicating that this is literally your last magazine. You run out and you're shit out of luck, and you got no other way of engaging a target, unless of course you have a pistol as a backup, but most of the US forces do not. All of the insurgents, however, do. Every single insurgent has a secondary pistol with them, which is interesting. For the United States military, they don't, because obviously when you're actually deployed, not all troops in the field have a pistol. Mostly officers or more specifically specialized roles will get a sidearm. So it's trying to keep that authentic realism there as well, which is really nice, while still obviously giving the insurgents what they would probably have in the real world as well, because they'd be just whatever the hell they want. There's no professionalism. They just get whatever they want, which is interesting. So kind of balances out things too, if you think about it, because obviously American forces have tremendous, amazing weaponry compared to what the insurgents have. So again, whatever. There's no real artificial balancing here. It's kind of just like going for realism. War isn't balanced. Deal with it somehow through sheer tactics and strategy, which is a lot more interesting to do in my personal opinion. I like that a lot more than artificially balancing things that just kind of make games just so redundant. And anyway, whole other topic. Now, if you guys actually watched my last squad video where I discussed my desired improvements for the game, one of the things you may recall was that I wish there was a way to be able to determine how much you're healing yourself. And now you can, as you just saw on screen. There's a health indicator, triage kind of emblem showing you whether or not you are fully healed. And it's also there for when you are being healed, which is awesome. Because before it was kind of difficult to determine whether or not someone was actually bandaging you, whether you were being healed, simply because you didn't have any other indicators other than your screen was becoming less faded and less blurry and clearer. So that was the only real way you can determine, oh, I'm being healed right now, especially with a medic telling you, hey, I'm healing you, stop moving. Because if you moved, it would impair the ability to heal somebody, and it was just this whole problem. Those things have been rectified now. So healing someone is a lot easier, and you can identify when they're bleeding out, when they need a certain type of bandage, or whether they need field dressing to be applied. It makes being a medic so much easier and a hell of a lot better. So I'm pretty happy about that change. Additionally, what I also discussed in that video was a desire to be able to have the reminiscent old school Project Reality inventory screen. And basically by inventory screen, I don't mean like what you would think from Arma. I'm talking about when you scroll up and down with the mouse wheel, it would show all the weapons available for you to choose, all the equipment you had, everything that was there. That has made a return. It is now literally back in the game, and it looks amazing. Things have been fleshed out in such a way that the same key, so say you want to hit 3 for explosives or 4 for using smoke grenades, depending on how many of each item you have, you can scroll through it using the same exact key, or you can just scroll up and down with your mouse wheel. It looks a lot better. It's so much easier to identify your loadout as a result, and it makes the whole experience a lot more streamlined, which is just so much better. I'm really happy they added that, because it's like, that was one thing I was, very specific about. I'm like, I would love to see this speed returned, and sure enough, it has been returned, and it looks great. So I'm pretty happy about that. Another thing that has been rectified, which I really am insanely happy about, is actually building fobs. The shovel now only shovels whenever it is able to be built. Once it is completely built, you can no longer shovel it. This completely eliminates the problem of new players coming in, not knowing what the hell they're doing, and shoveling endlessly on an object that's already been completed. And it also helps to alleviate the process of building and expanding fobs. If you're constantly placing sandbags on top of barricades, on top of all kinds of things, it becomes a problem, because the more they're stacked on top of each other, you can't really determine whether or not you're actually building or shoveling the right object, the right piece of fob that you want to build. And now it's a lot easier because you can't. Like, you can only shovel what needs to be shoveled. So that has been fixed. It is a hell of a lot better now. Again, really happy, because now building fobs is a way more rewarding experience for the player, and the teams. And of course, something else that has been added. Game modes. New game modes have been added. 2, specifically. We have the recreation of Insurgency from Project Reality, and we have a brand new game mode that's never been created ever before called Territory Control. Insurgency, in this game right now, is an incredible experience. It's probably the best experience I've had playing Squad to date. And I sincerely mean that. And I actually have a bunch of gameplay that was just amazing that I'm going to be uploading after this video at some point, showing it off, because holy crap, it was amazing. The tactics involved and the team play is completely different. It kind of makes it so that determining where the weapon caches are and having to go and destroy them. First of all, for those of you guys that don't even know the game type and how it's even played, Insurgency plays out like this. The US-American team has to kill off insurgents to gain intelligence. The more intelligence they gain, more weapon caches are exposed. There are 5 weapon caches in total, and you have to go and destroy every single one of them with a thermite grenade, of which only the squad leader has equipped. So the squad leaders have 2 thermite grenades. That's how you destroy weapon caches. So you have to go and find them. And they're all over the map, and they can be random, and getting to them can be tedious, and depending on where the insurgents decide to fortify and defend, it can really make an interesting scenario play out. So actually breaching into these places, into these complexes as a team and just coordinating, it's so different from playing Advanced and Secure. Advanced and Secure, you get to a point, you capture it, it's kind of awesome, but I mean, Insurgency really kind of boils down to fortifications, really utilizing FOBs, utilizing entrenchment and positions or defensive positions, all that stuff. It's so intense how it all plays out. And actually operating in close quarters, using smoke grenades for concealment, running through the smoke inside buildings, all this shit. It's just, holy crap, guys. It's such an amazing, amazing experience. And I can't wait to show you guys the gameplay of that, because it's just fucking awesome. Like, holy shit, this game is fucking on me. It's just amazing, alright? This game is amazing. But anyway, trying to keep my hype contained so I can, discuss this video professionally. Or this game professionally. So, that's how Insurgency plays out. Then you got Territory Control. Territory Control plays pretty much the same way, well, not pretty much, but it's very closely reminiscent to Advanced and Secure. The insurgents have all the points already, and the Americans have to go and capture individual points however they please, in no particular order, and it cannot be recaptured by the insurgents. That's probably the biggest factor right there. Once you capture a point, it is yours permanently, and the insurgents cannot recapture it. So it's all about the Americans being on the offensive and the insurgents being on the defensive. And naturally, as you would assume, this would inspire insanely high levels of FOB defense. Building and developing FOBs at a level that is not even attained in any of the other game modes. And for the most part, that is true, because these points need to be defended. They get captured, you lose them permanently. If the Americans capture every single point, they win. The only way that the insurgents can win against the Americans is simply by draining all of their tickets or waiting until the time expires. But the game lasts like 2 hours, I believe, so good luck with that. You're pretty much going to have to kill off the Americans for a very, very long time. Unless, of course, the Americans are building up their own FOBs and kind of playing more of a defensive, offensive role in which they're not pursuing constantly to hit these objectives. So it's a very interesting take on a game mode. Personally, I think it's awesome. I think it's a really good experience, but I obviously prefer Insurgency, because Insurgency just feels like you really have a purpose, right? You got to get out there and you got to kill shit. You got to destroy these weapon caches and deny the enemy, right? That's what you got to do. And I really like that, because it kind of inspires a very close-knit, close-quarter, high-intensity combat scenario that isn't really as prevalent in other game modes as much as Insurgency. So it's a lot nicer and intense, which I like. Overall, the game modes are fantastic, and I'm really happy they added them. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they will add in the future, as well as additional game modes depending on the map and the environment and the factions. It's going to be really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how things progress from here on out, because guys, this is shaping up to be probably one of the best military shooters in the last decade. Like, it is amazing. Completely amazing. I can't get over it. This is not me fanboying out. This is me just saying that from what I've experienced, it's an incredible experience. However, this update, unfortunately, one thing I want to talk about, and I'm not the only one who experienced this, because I kind of went in, I was talking to people in-game, and I was asking them around, you know, just seeing how people's general reactions were. Performance has dropped. I'm not sure why, because in the actual changelog, they specifically said that performance tweaks have been made to the maps to kind of improve their visuals, as well as improve the performance of them. Unfortunately, it's the exact opposite. Visuals stay roughly the same, or, you know, look pretty much the way they always did, but performance for me dropped by up to 10 frames, which, when you're hovering around 40 on average, dropping to 30 is a little, it doesn't play smoothly, right? 30 is just like, especially when it drops into the 20s, and you're just like, God, why? This is so bad. Obviously, optimization is something they're going to have to look at in the future. It's something they plan to look at. That's something that really needs to be addressed, because I don't see why Unreal Engine 4 would be so demanding on decent hardware. So I'm hoping that in the future, especially AMD, a lot of AMD individuals out there with AMD APUs or CPUs are having problems, which is just like, I don't know. This obviously needs to be fleshed out in the future, and hopefully the developers can actually attain a really, really reasonable performance to hardware ratio, which would be nice, because I would love to see my frame. I mean, when this game is running at 60 FPS, it's amazing. So obviously I would love to have 100-player servers with pure chaos and all kinds of vehicles and aircraft running at 60 FPS all the time. That would be the most mind-boggling experience one can wish for, without having to go out and spend a shitload of money on a brand new CPU, because the graphics cards aren't that demanding. It kind of seems to be a CPU thing with this game, which is kind of strange. It's kind of weird like that. I've seen on the forum, someone was discussing how swapping out from a Sandy Bridge to a Skylake CPU, and suddenly their performance was just like significantly higher than it was before. So we'll just have to see what the developers can come up with when the game is actually finally released in terms of performance, which hopefully they can achieve a lot, because I'm pretty sure we all really want this game to run smoothly for everybody. So there you have it. Unfortunately, no vehicular devices yet, but I mean, I'm not bothered by that, because this game has had tremendous changes made within this last update. This latest build is just a completely different experience. One thing I will note, though, as you can clearly see here as I'm engaging, I have yet to determine exactly how the ballistics are functioning. That has been reworked as well, but it's really hard for me, and I've talked to other people in-game about this as well, that for some reason it seems kind of strange that bullets can deviate. Like, if you're looking at the splash of where the rounds are landing, they're not landing anywhere near where my reticle is pointed. I can't tell if it's because of wind. I can't tell if it's because of the torque of the round. It's really hard to determine what exactly is going on. And it's something I think should be looked at in the future, because I'm not entirely sure. Like, it's kind of jarring and strange. But anyway, whole other topic for another video. My name's been PepperBelly. Thank you guys for joining me today on this video showcasing the latest build for Squad. And I will see you guys on the next one.